Humanity is on an amazing journey. A journey beginning in 1969 with just 2 nodes, exploding into a network of more than 15 billion connected devices. A network moving information 333 million times faster than it did 35 years ago. This journey includes all of us as we collaborate, share, and create 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. And yet, it is just the beginning. Everything and everyone is moving faster and faster. Our reliance on technology affects more than just how people interact with each other. It affects the entire global economy. In 1998, GE and Coca-Cola were the top of the S&P 500. We've seen that shift dramatically over the last 2 decades. Which companies will lead the way 5 years from now? Will it be a company like Uber or Airbnb, or will it be you? Information is the currency of the new digital economy. To thrive in this new reality, you have to harness the information running through your network. With the constant visibility NetScout provides, you can do just that. Whether your data is wired or wireless, local or in the cloud, a sensor, a mobile device, a machine, a web service, or a robot, NetScout knows how to collect, protect, organize, and analyze this data to meet your needs and accelerate your business. The most successful companies today are fueled by information. With the visibility NetScout provides, you'll know where your company is, where it's going, and when it will arrive. It's going to be an exciting journey. Let's connect and take it together.
To open Engage 16, please welcome NetScout's Chief Marketing Officer, Jim McNiel.
Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to Dallas, welcome to Engage, and welcome to NetScout's premier user forum. I'm delighted to be up here today. And the question you have to ask yourself is, will it be you? That's what this is all about. We're living in a time of amazing change. And what I also want to welcome you to is the timeline of technology. If we walk this line, we see that we're making a nice steady path upwards. And we can see what's behind us. We can see where we've been. And it's been a truly exciting journey, an amazing journey. And we know the past, but it's very difficult to know when you're standing on the timeline of technology what's immediately ahead of you. And what I'm here to talk to you about and introduce is the fact that what's coming is going to make what's past child's play. It's a huge opportunity for all of us. It's terribly exciting, and it's what's going to make a difference between whether or not we're on the top of the S&P 500 or falling out of the bottom. Because just in the past 15 years, the churn has gone to 50%. And in the next 5 years, the churn in the S&P 500 is going to go to 75%. And it used to be 60 years of tenure, and now it's going down to 10 to 15 years. So it's a big change. And what's causing it? What's causing it is disruption. The disruption of technology. So let's just go back. 300 bits per second. How many people connected a 300 baud modem in here? I know I did. Right? Do you remember that? And then you got a 1200 and 19.2. You're like so excited. 19.2, I'm cranking now. But now we're at 100 gigabits. That's 333 million times faster than we got started. And let's go back to when we got our first 5 megabyte hard disk. Well, when that technology was invented, it was $437,000 to store a gigabyte of data. Today, it's 2 cents. You can buy a 4 terabyte Seagate hard drive for $100 retail. 2 cents a gigabyte. And then what about compute? Well, in the early days of the Intel processor family, it was 0.66 MIPS. And it cost $1 million for a MIP, 1 million instructions per second. Today, it's 7 cents for a MIP. We have 237,000 MIPS in a single Intel chip, and we're moving to 1 billion MIPS in the next 4 years if we keep Moore's Law on track. And so far, it's going pretty well. The other thing that's really accelerating things is the fact that we got rid of all this mishigas in protocol, right? How many of us remember DECnet, ARPANET, SNA, Token Ring, NetBUI, IPX? We had to deal with all this stuff. NetScout was expert at that. But over time, we've settled upon something that's much more manageable, and IP is king. And IP will continue to be king. And so virtually anything that's communicating over our web is communicating using Internet Protocol, which makes life pretty easy. So think about this. Back when this all started, what could you buy for a dime? You could buy a cup of coffee, you could buy a popsicle, an ice cream cone, a pack of gum, a bus ride. Can't do that today. But you can buy 5 gigabytes of storage, or 250,000 MIPS, or 3 Netflix movies a day. Because digital is cheap. Digital is super cheap, and everything is going digital. And this is what we're about as a company. Why is this happening in such a grand scale? All these companies on the screen I'm showing you now have made a huge commitment to the cloud. Why would a pharmaceutical or a major manufacturing company do so? Because you can stand up a Linux stack or a Windows stack with a click of a mouse. You don't have to go out and build the racks and build the data centers and hire the people to go and check on everything, because it's all being done for you. And it's competitive. And sometime in the near future, what's going to differentiate clouds is going to be pennies per compute and storage. And there's going to be arbitrage there. And that's going to be happening all around us. What else has happened in our world is that people are connected. We have over 3.5 billion internet users today. And there are 15 billion connected devices on the web. But that's going to change. We're predicted to have in 2020, on the service provider side of this house, over 9 billion active mobile subscriptions for data by 2020. It's more subscriptions than there are people on the planet. Some of it is because you guys can't just use one phone. And the other thing that's going to happen is we're moving from 15 billion devices to over 50 billion devices, and that's the conservative estimate. If you talk to the guys at Cisco, they think it's going to be closer to 200. But one thing you should know is that in the next 10 years, there's going to be over 1 trillion IP addresses transmitting IP data from all different types of sensors. And that's pretty exciting stuff. And it's transmitting it over a wireless network that's been exploding. We're going to an environment where we have connected cars and connected cows, connected people and connected produce. My wife said, "Why do you want to connect a cow?" I said, "Well, you're buying organic milk. Don't you want to make sure Bessie's had plenty of time in the sun?" You could track that. You want to make sure your tomatoes are fresh? You could track that. We're moving from connected thermostats to connected thermidors, and connected cameras to connected kids. Everything in our world is going to be connected. And it's going to travel over its mobile network, which just in the last year has expanded 74%. It's grown 74% in the last year. And we moved to 2.5 exabytes a month, or 30 exabytes a year. And everyone's asking, what's an exabyte? How much data is that? It's 1 billion gigabytes. 1 billion gigabytes of data over the mobile network, but it's 2.5 exabytes every day over the main network. So if you took all that and you loaded it up into a bunch of iPad minis, you could fill AT&T Stadium with 62.9 billion iPad minis. It's a lot of data. By the end of this year, we will, for the first time in history, cross the zettabyte mark, 1,000 exabytes. These are big numbers. And why does it matter? It matters because the companies that are leading the S&P 500 today are information-driven companies. And that's what you have an opportunity to do, to monetize that information to make really good business decisions. And this is changing the way we think about computing. Digital transformation is among us. It's happening right now. And the pillars of it are cloud, analytics, social, and mobile. Cloud is the way you're going to get stuff done because it's cost-effective, it's fast. Analytics teach us what's working. Social tells us what our customers are thinking about our products. And mobile, well, that phone in your pocket is more powerful than the computer that was on the space shuttle. It has more compute, has more storage, has a better camera. So this is what's happening around us today. These are the things that we have to embrace and use to be able to drive our businesses forward. You're going to be living in a hybrid IT environment because it makes no sense for you to build a Salesforce automation or CRM tool because Salesforce is doing that for you. You're going to use your tools connected to it. And there are going to be some key accelerators that also drive this business. From robotics to 3D printing to cognitive computing. Apple made a big deal about the fact they're bringing manufacturing back to the United States. They're going to replace 3 Asian laborers in a shift with one $25,000 robot. They're not bringing labor back here, they're bringing manufacturing back here. They're going to use robots to do it. 25K robot working 24/7 assembling Apple products. That space capsule there was developed at SpaceX, Elon Musk's company, about 2/3 of the components within that are 3D printed with titanium 3D printers. And if you happen to have $50 million lying around, you have to make a decision. Do you buy the Gulfstream 5 jet, or do you buy the Falcon 5 rocket? One you can fly to Tokyo, the other one you can fly to the moon. Same price. And the good thing about the Falcon 5 is it comes back. You can use it again. It's reusable. And then lastly, where are we going to go with cognitive computing and artificial intelligence? Some people think this is Bicentennial Man. This is Robin Williams, right? Some people think this is fantasy. But there's a lot of people that used to do private wealth management at Charles Schwab that went to business school who are no longer calculating portfolios because they've been replaced with an algorithm. So this is why this stuff is real. And what about the next ones? We got the Internet of Things, which we're all very much aware of. And then on top of that, we have security. So in the IoT space, anything that has a sensor is going to have an IP address because communicating through this wireless network is going to cost them next to nothing. And every one of these accelerators has a door, has a login, has an access point. And that means every one of them is at risk, a risk of a security breach. So everything that we do in cloud analytics, social mobile, and robotics and cognitive, all these things needs to have security built into it because we have far too many people out there trying to get into our systems and cause harm. So the thing that is really interesting, and how does this all make sense to you, and how does it make sense to NetScout? NetScout understands all these endpoints and how they transit through the network. We're experts in the wireless and the radio side of things. We understand the radio access network, we understand the Wi-Fi network, we understand 3G, 4G, 5G, and what's beyond. And we can tell you what the data's journey has been through that network. And the same thing is true on the wired network. I mean, we said we've gone from a megabit to 100 gigabits. Today we have machines that compute at 100 gigabits and gather traffic at that speed and are able to collect that traffic and make sense out of that traffic. And that's a terrific thing to do because when Anil Singh Hall started off as a pioneer in collecting wire data, the reason no one else was doing it was too much. Why would you even begin to think that you can make sense out of all this data? Why would you double, for instance, the throughput and the storage costs of a network just so you could gather all this data? Well, things have changed. Compute is cheap, storage is cheap, but what's more importantly is NetScout figured out how to do this in a different time, a time when you needed to reduce the data set. You needed to throw away the extraneous data. You need to focus on the metadata and what makes it valuable. So you understand where it came from, the endpoint, how it traveled, the network, the journey along the way, context, collect all that data from all of its different sources, organize it so you can make sense out of it, make it structured so you can mine it and you can make sense out of it. And then once you analyze it, you can build applications on it. You could do service assurance, you could do cybersecurity, you could build workflows and monitors. And most importantly, you could start to do what companies like Google and Facebook have been doing, which is mining their information to, in their case, control over 50% of the world's mobile ad business. Just two companies. So the data in your environment is really precious. It's really valuable, and it's what we're focused on to make you one of those companies that's going to be dominating the S&P 500. So you collect, you organize, you analyze, and then lastly, what's happening next in our industry? We're moving into software-defined data centers, software-defined networks. You need to act, and you need to know when you're going to stand up that next rack of servers. And that's why this data is so absolutely critical to your mission. So when you think about the volume of data that's coming your way and how you're going to get there, there was an individual who had this vision to collect all this data, this massive amounts of data that's coming your way at light speed, and deal with it and not be buried by it. And that vision and that mission is what's been driving our company and the actions of our company so that we could acquire the technologies and the talent that we need to transform NetScout to help you transform your company into this new digital age. I can think of no better person who's more qualified to execute this vision and to speak about this vision and inform you about it than our co-founder and CEO who's going to help you unlock the full power of IP intelligence and ASI. Ladies and gentlemen, our co-founder and CEO, Anil Singh Hall.